The sun sets over a frozen field of missile silos in Siberia, while a red alert flashes through the Pentagon, secure network. Two superpowers that once balanced on the edge of annihilation are again staring each other down, only this time, the countdown feels faster. At 4 a.m. Moscow time, Russian officials announce that all previous arms restrictions are suspended. Strategic bombers roll from hangars. In Washington, submarine patrols are quietly repositioned under the Atlantic. An old Cold War voice echoes through modern systems. Deterrence by fear. The spark behind it all is a single decision: whether the United States will send Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine. Each one can travel more than 1,000 miles and strike with surgical precision. In Russian eyes, that range crosses an invisible line, their homeland. If Ukraine receives them, Moscow calls it a red line. Inside the Kremlin, a general leans over the table and mutters, "If they deliver those missiles, this ends differently." Russian state television repeats one phrase again and again: a new stage of escalation. Across the ocean, military analysts warn that both sides have quietly lowered their nuclear thresholds. The U.S. believes Russia is bluffing. Russia believes the U.S. has forgotten fear. Late one night, a Ukrainian strike lands deep inside Russian territory. It is conventional, not nuclear, but radar crews cannot tell the difference in time. For 60 seconds, the world's largest nuclear state believes it is under attack. The alarms sound, command keys turn, then silence. The missile was not a Tomahawk, yet it did something worse. It proved how close the line truly is. Now, as dawn breaks, U.S. satellites show Russia's nuclear forces moving into high readiness. American submarines vanish beneath the sea. The world's news feeds explode with one phrase: brink of war. Cameras capture the faces of people watching the sky as sirens echo across Eastern Europe. The Cold War never ended. It only slept. Tonight, it wakes again. It starts with a ping at Europe's early warning command center. A cruise missile with American electronics is inbound from Ukrainian territory toward a Russian staging area. It crosses the border. The response is swift. The Kremlin sends a message: "You have crossed our red line." Russia's updated nuclear doctrine, approved directly by President Putin, states that a conventional attack on its territorial integrity or sovereignty may trigger a nuclear response. That afternoon, in a rarely seen maneuver, the U.S. Navy quietly repositions two nuclear-armed submarines to appropriate regions after Russian state channels reference their dead-hand automatic launch system. Across Europe, countries once confident in deterrence now report heightened alert levels. A missile base commander says under his breath, "It's not about who wins Ukraine anymore. It's about whether we survive tomorrow." In Moscow, former President Medvedev sends out a chilling warning: "Those preparing missiles to strike our territory should consider their bomb shelters." Analysts around the world call it open nuclear blackmail. Inside the Kremlin, generals mobilize strategic bombers. Officials announce Russia no longer considers itself bound by any previous missile treaties. The arms race has gone public again. In Washington, the White House holds an emergency press conference. The Secretary of Defense steps to the podium. Russia is lowering the threshold for nuclear weapon use. We see their preparations. We're ready. Moments later, the head of U.S. Strategic Command briefs Congress. We can detect launches, we can intercept some, but once the sequence begins, escalation is unstoppable. Your screen splits. On the left, a missile launcher fires from Ukraine at dusk. On the right, a Russian submarine breaks through Arctic ice. Two worlds moving toward one collision. Then it happens. A Ukrainian strike hits deep inside Russia. Long-range rockets supplied by the U.S. reach a target far beyond prior engagement zones. Moscow calls it the last straw. Russian missiles launch toward Ukrainian positions. NATO scrambles aircraft. The world listens to the low hum of thousands of nuclear warheads resting in silos, waiting for a command. Analysts whisper, "We are now in a long confrontation. A direct U.S. or Russia war is no longer unthinkable." In the U.S., leaders argue behind closed doors. Intervene directly or pull back. One envoy mutters, "We will not fight World War III for Ukraine." The line hangs in the air like smoke. Suddenly, in Washington's Situation Room, a red light begins to flash. Possible Russian tactical nuclear launch detected. The room freezes. Decisions must be made in seconds. In Moscow, Putin faces his generals. If they strike once more, we strike back. His words ripple across every capital on Earth. Europe trembles. This is no longer a regional war. It's global. Moments later, NATO sensors confirm a low-yield nuclear detonation inside Russian territory, described as a test. The world goes silent. What happens next is no longer hypothetical. A slow-motion mushroom cloud rises over a dark horizon.